Jace here. I'm getting ready to do some mixing on the low end of a track. Low end stuff can be tricky, especially when you have more than one device in the low end of your production seeking that space. There's only so much to share down there in the low end, and I'm going to be using WavesFactory and a nice little plugin called Trackspacer to help me get all out of the low end that I possibly can. Alright, so let's talk about what's going on here. We've got four things that you're going to be hearing here. I think it's four. I've got a pad that I've crafted, tweaked from Massive that I'm using that has a lot of low-end signal in it. And then I'm going to be bringing in a Rickenbacker bass over top of that. And in the meantime, we're also going to have some drums and a very high electric guitar. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this for you right now so we can get an idea of where things sit in the mix. Releasing this track in just a few days. I'm releasing one track every week for the next 52 weeks. So I say this to you because it really calls upon me to take a road a little less traveled in music production, where I am kind of, from the very outset of the very first track that I write, I'm considering things like headroom. And in this particular case, as you can see, we're very early on in the production of this track. I've got some cleaning up to do, house cleaning to do on these tracks and the way they look, and I've also got some low end to think about here, and that brings us to talking about Trackspacer. So when I bring up this massive pad here, you can see it there. Let's go ahead and have a look at the information that's passing through. Now this, of course, has some EQ from me on it, so let me just pull the EQ off of there so you can hear what this thing is doing all on its own. Time. Now, one thing you can do in a situation like that is just ignore it. Sometimes the shape of the tone, what the wave is consisting of. Is it more of a saw? Is it more of a square? Is it more of a triangle? What is it that's trying to penetrate? Sometimes, you know, it's more opinion than it is fact when it comes to things like this. But I really think that this decision I'm doing with this Trackspacer is making a difference, because what it's going to do now is it is going to carve out inside of this pad that I'm using. It's going to carve out space being carved by the Rickenbacker into the pad. Okay, so I'm using the short-based instrument, the short pulses of the Rickenbacker, to send information via a side chain to my pad 147 here, the massive pad, and it's going to read that information coming from the Rickenbacker. Then it's going to go ahead and carve those frequencies out of the pad. So as you can see here, I put the plug-in right directly on my pad in the chain, and then I go over to the side chain, and that's on Rick-Bass 1 instrument 36. And let's watch what happens when that Rickenbacker bass information gets fed to the pad. Let me pull that off, and I'm gonna go back and forth with this so you can kind of hear what happens in that low end. And again, I probably should have said this from the start, and I apologize for that, but this is a headphone situation. It's a headphones, or you're in front of really good vivid monitors. This is one of those things where the differences are this big, but when you take this kind of approach with tracking on the early end, it just makes all that much more headroom and balanced mixing on the other side of this. Okay, off. Now what that's going to enable me to do is it's going to let me cut that Rickenbacker bass back, I would say, by, 4 or 5 dB almost. Still get a nice signal coming out of there because it's not fighting for the pad to have its own space. In the low end, there's more definition, and it was as simple as one little device here. And I really like this plugin. It's made by WavesFactory. If you're somebody that's doing a lot of tracking and stuff, I mean, you could use it on, master buses, submix masters, as I call them, submix buses, and use it to carve out room for vocals if you're somebody that's dealing with that kind of a situation. Really handy stuff. Thank you, WavesFactory. Have a great one, guys. And watch for my new releases. There's going to be one every week. And if you like and subscribe to my videos, you'll be able to stay in a circle with me, and I can share more of this kind of cool stuff with you. Thanks.